Good evening, everyone. Dadman Walking 55 here, coming to you live again on another wonderful Friday night while I'm multiplying, tasking, and all that stuff you want to say. Just coming here, we got another wonderful, fun filled edition of Pro-ish Football Talk where we feature football, spring football, but specifically on the XFL. So, hey, welcome to us tonight. It'll be the last week of the regular season. Week 10 we just completed. And who else to help me than the great co host that's been here all year uh, and even through college football season too, along the way, the great Woopah Troopah. Hey, Woopah, how are you, my friend?
Hello, thank you for the introduction, good sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Having fun watching the NFL draft mostly.
Yes. Are things going your way or not so good?
In a lot of ways, not good. In some ways, though, it's been good.
Mm,
I'd say a mixed bag, but I'm not sure what to do with my fantasy draft coming up soon. But
yeah,
in
I
some ways,
gotcha.
I'm happy that I'm happy that the Steelers got an offensive tackle because I've got their quarterback and their running back, so that'll
Yeah,
help me out there at least.
absolutely. Yeah, feel free to keep talking a minute. I'm checking some streams. I'm checking our streams in the background
Oh, no problem.
because it's like
Yeah.
we're just making sure we are live and everything's going through. Looks like we are. Okay, we finally got a one click up there. Hey, all right.
Woohoo.
Woohoo. All right. Oh man. So what has there been any particular surprise of the NFL draft since it's on
Yeah,
right now?
yeah. The biggest ones have been the running back. So, Bijan Robinson is the consensus number one guy. He's a really good prospect, but he went to Atlanta, where running the ball was really the only good thing Atlanta did last year. So they had a rookie running back who was on a lot cheaper contract who ran for uh, 1,000 yards. So it's just kind of like, well, you don't really need one of those
Mm-hmm.
guys. You got him. He's gonna be good. I don't have any doubt that he's talented. It just makes you think. Well, you've got a lot of holes, and the Falcons were a bad team last year. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so you think they would have been able to use that pick on something, you know, more help them out. And then the big weird thing was that only 4 picks later, the Detroit Lions took a running back, which, I mean, people talk about running backs in the first round. It really doesn't happen a lot unless it's like a guy who's really good. And Jameer Gibbs, of Alabama running back, I mean, he looks good, but I don't think a lot of people had him. People had him going in the late first round, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
So him going, not just going that early at pick 12, but also to the Lions, who, they have a pretty decent guy. He's been hurt a lot, but he's good when he's healthy. Um, and then they just signed a guy to like 3 years, 24 million in the off season. It's like, what are you doing drafting a running back this high? It doesn't make a
Yeah.
lot of sense. Those are the biggest surprises, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is interesting. I used to be a lot more into the draft, but as time goes, maybe next year I'll be a little bit more into it. Last year, just I've always been into college football, but finally getting a little bit more back to the NFL this week, I mean, this year was a little hard, and you're kind of behind at times, behind the scenes, you're behind everything. Things change over time, um, and just trying to get back into it, the flow of things, how things work, and everything, how it goes like that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so hey, let's see. Interesting. Twitter's been a little weird today. It's like it's hiding emotes and stuff like that. And hello to the missus. Hey,
Hello.
hey, Mrs. Dadman and Whoopa. Both of y'all. Oh my goodness. Hey, oh, we got a lot in store. I shared a lot of tweets out today about May. The way May is going to be really, really, really busy.
Oh
A
yeah.
lot of stuff going on. I think I calculated 6 slots for dedicated gaming. I mean, I can always game at a moment's notice, but there's a lot of stuff coming up, and before our vacation, just going to try to get as much as done as we can, and just go, have some fun, some different areas, we will say. But hey, we still have 2 weeks left in the football season, so you know it's we're here. We've made it this far, and hey Atwood, thanks for being here, man. Good to see you.
Hello.
Absolutely glad that Mrs. and Atwood are here with us. So you never know. Maybe it's a late arriving crowd tonight. Maybe they got so bummed at the St. Louis game this week that
That's probably what it is.
there it is. Yes, yes, it is. So, all right, folks. Well, we've anything else that you've thought with the NFL draft that we've got? Oh, hello, Daisy Blossom, my friend.
Hello.
Hey, the great Daisy Blossom flower child. Hey, welcome as always, and thank you for your comment earlier today on Twitter. It meant a lot, and yeah, we're going to have some happiness and fun tonight. Well, Woopah might not a little bit. We might get a Woopah rampage after last weekend, but hey, we can all laugh and enjoy it with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get there. We'll get there. Oh, God bless you. Sorry about that.
All right.
Yeah. Let's see. Where do we want to start? I guess what we should start with is let's go ahead and take a look at last week's action. Let's start. See what the week that was and the last regular season. Hey, Jess. Jess, hey, thank you. Glad you're here too. Yep, great as always. So hey, and we got other things coming up tonight. This is going to be a madcap busy night tonight. So we've got our show here, which we're going to have. We're going to talk about the XFL, the end of the regular season, and kind of lead into the playoffs a little bit. Then we got date night Fortnite with Mrs. Dadman. Then we got Fortnite After Dark with a bunch of rowdy people. So, hey.
You get a little rowdy sometimes. This is true.
Well, we have to, especially when it's Fortnite After Dark. You've got to, it's a requirement. Oh, my goodness. Oh, shoot. I think my phone's going to die.
Soon. That's not good.
No, I know. I took one thing to work, the other's in the other room. So, but we will see what happens. How long it will last, I don't know. But hey, we've got 5 great people here with us tonight. Thank y'all for being here. Speaking of rowdy people, go get your drunks, neighbors, kids, everything else to come in. We got struck by the YouTube people a while back where we lost 5 of our subs. So we got one back, so we're still at 221. But hey, we shall get there. We shall overcome. But,
you're tied with me.
Yay. Oops, my phone wasn't muted.
There's an echo.
Yeah, it was briefly. But hey, I learned how to dodge that really quickly, That's really cool. Good. Fun. But anyway, we'll talk about all the new stuff and other stuff coming down the pike later. But hey, on that note, let's go ahead and look at last week's action, shall we?
All right.
Go ahead and bring it up, and we'll look at we'll bring it up to the stream now. Hey, Woopah.
All right. So we got the first game of the week. It was a pretty good one, if I do say so myself. Battlehawks absolutely demolished the Guardians. This game had 1 punt in it. Well, on the Guardian side, or on the Battlehawks side, they punted once.
Wow.
Everything else, they were dominating. You've got AJ McCarron threw for 420 yards and 6 touchdowns.
That's got to be a league record this year, though.
Oh yeah, both of them yards and touchdowns are both the record.
There's Jeremy 5. Hi, Jeremy 5. Russia approved.
Yeah.
Welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there with that one, but hey. You know what's interesting? A name that I looked looked like DeAndre Francois played quite a bit for Orlando.
Yeah, so he got the start. I was a little surprised, and he started off pretty good, but he threw an interception and got benched for Quinn Dormady, who also played pretty well, had 2 touchdowns. And then DeAndre Francois came back in again. I don't know if Dormady got hurt or what.
Had to have been because Dormady went 18 for 24 for 188. You wouldn't pull a quarterback out like that.
The only thing I can think of is the 188 can be a little deceiving just because he had a lot of long bombs. There were quite a few that frustrated me in the first half. But, you see, he had the 10 yards per completion. I think he had, completions of, you're talking like 55, I think he had 2 passes he had one drive where he threw 3 passes and it went 3 completions for like 80 yards, something similar to that. So the rest of the time, it was a lot of dink and dunk kind of plays. And so maybe that was what happened. I don't know. But wide receivers, there are a lot of good wide receivers this game. I picked out Hakeem Butler, obviously the best, 164 yards and 2 touchdowns. Stephen Mitchell also had some really good touchdown plays, and he returned punts, nothing crazy, only 2 punts for 31 yards. But this was actually his first game returning punts, which is kind of interesting. We've had Austin Prohl for all the 9 other games, and this time they went to Stephen Mitchell, and he played pretty well, all things considered. So maybe it was a good thing.
That is kind of crazy, though. Yes. But Prohl reminds me of his dad, of just kind of that possession receiver, not really an explosive type of return guy. So,
yep, he's kind of he's still pretty fast, but you're looking at really all of the wide receivers on the Battlehawks are pretty much besides Darius Shepard, who also had a really good game.
Yeah,
Darius Shepard is really the only speed threat on our team. Because Hakeem Butler, his thing is, hey, he's 6'6". You throw a jump ball up to him, he's probably going to win every time.
Right.
And same with Marcel Aitman, who didn't have a good game this week, but ever since he came back from injury, has been doing a lot. So this is kind of a team made for throw-in. I think it's made around expecting AJ McCarron is kind of, you got a lot of quarterbacks in this league, maybe younger guys who are like, hey, they don't have they might not have the control, but maybe they have the arm and such. AJ McCarron is kind of separate where, we know that physically he's not the best quarterback, but he knows where to put the ball.
Right.
And I think that's the goal. Hey, we got these big guys. Just put it, AJ McCarron can put them where they can catch it. And look at this game. He certainly did that.
Well, one thing that jumped out at me this game is illustrated in your stats there. Another punter with a long pass, at this time a touchdown pass, but he did throw an interception. What's the deal with these punters in this league and all these fake punts?
Yeah, it's interesting. So the first one, I think we all kind of expected it. I guess maybe not the defense, but they threw for a first down and it went all the way for a touchdown. It was very frustrating because we should have tackled him.
Yep.
But we didn't. And it kind of at the time I was like, well, screw this. But late in the fourth quarter, they went for another fake punt, and then it was kind of just that time. Really, everyone was expecting it. They lined up with people we lined up with guys in the backfield, or like playing in coverage during the punt, and so he threw the ball up, and naturally our guys got it because we were expecting it. It was kind of a dumb play call. Because that's the whole point. What makes a fake punt so effective is you don't expect it. Well, that play, everyone expected it. The defense was ready for it. So at that point, you're not really doing anything good.
Nope. Well, that you can usually sometimes sense when those fake punts are coming, and then you're always mad when your team doesn't look for it because you can see it coming a mile away. But hey, what I tell you, it adds some excitement in the league. When you can have crazy plays like that happen. Had
Hmm.
some excitement to the game. So, all right. Well, hey, that's pretty good, and that's interesting though that Mitchell's now the punt returner. So, but unfortunately, as we will see later, the season's over.
Yeah.
How was the game though for our last home game, last game of the year? How was it this game compared to the others?
So it was, I'd say it's a tale of two halves because the score at the half, I believe, was 25-20 in favor
Mhm.
of the Battlehawks. And, our offense was doing good, but
Yeah.
I always felt out of it because we were getting scored on. We'd put together this long, a very solid, methodical drive, and it's like, oh man, our offense is looking good. They not really stopping us. And then three, their offense needs 3 plays and they're in the end zone. It's like, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? And it was very frustrating. It felt like, yeah, well, our offense scores, but we can't stop them for anything.
Hmm.
So what does it matter? Uh, but in the second half, the defense stepped up. The defensive line, our defensive line all year has been really good. The rest of our defense, I'm not going to say they've been very good. I've not been a fan, but our defensive line has had a lot of playmakers that have just looked great all year, and they were getting to the quarterback. And even when they weren't getting to the quarterback, I remember one play they were talking about it. Where they announce it and it's a 7-yard run, and I'm like, oh man, this sucks. And who made the tackle? It was a defensive tackle who
Huh.
he broke from the block and ran back. It's like, well, I wish the linebackers just tackled him and did their job, but it
Yeah.
takes talent for a defensive tackle to get back and make that play. So it's just they did a great all game, and they really shined in the second half. And our offense, I mean, yeah, our first drive was a punt. Our second drive was a field goal. Everything after that was a touchdown. So we were just, it was at will
Well, it's
pretty
a good
much.
way. It's a good way to end the season, though. Even though you didn't move, at least you got a good, easy game,
Yeah.
to end the season. So,
Yeah. And it was nice. That made me feel a lot better in the end. Because at first I was sitting there like, man, what a waste of my Saturday morning.
yeah,
But then the defense finally woke up, I guess. They were still sleeping. And then it was a much
yeah,
better
because it was
game.
an 11 o'clock start your time, right?
Yep.
See, I hate that. I think no start should happen before noon local time. I've always been that way. But
I
oh
agree.
well,
Like,
yeah. Especially in college, it happens. It's just crazy. So, I mean, you're barely getting your Saturday morning cartoons finished and all with that. And allow me
mhm.
to just go off the script a little bit. At the end of one period, Florida Panthers are up 2-1 on Boston.
Oh, snap.
And Boston leads the series 3 games to 2. And what some people thought, even me, maybe a sweep or a 4-1 series. Dang. But we'll keep an eye on that. So, all right, Woopah. Well, hey, so the Guardians fall to 1-9, the worst team in the league. Battlehawks end up 7-3. But as we'll see later, we'll be going home. All right. So what have we got next?
uh,
Or do you have another
so
image in here? Is this
no,
insert here?
I saw a joke on Twitter.
Oh, there you go.
But
We
here,
like jokes.
I didn't catch all of this game because I was still trying to get home from the last Battlehawks game. Two early morning games. Come on, what are you doing, XFL?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Uh,
Yeah.
but this game was really good and almost punched the ticket for the Brahmas in the playoffs. Uh, Jordan Teamu continues. Now, they did play a lot of De'Aaron King in this game, but Jordan Teamu was the much better guy. He did have an interception, but he was very mobile, got a key rushing touchdown at the end of the game, and still 2 touchdown passes, 271 passing yards. A lot of that was after catch, but still. And Matthew McCrane hit 2 for 2 on his field goals. But Jack Cohn, I bet if you're a Brahmas fan, you're thinking, well, I wish he did this all year. His last 2 games have been great, over 300 passing yards. And
Wow.
he definitely wasn't doing that most of the early year. Uh, Landon
Yeah.
Akers coming off of a injury had
And
90 yards.
Tamu, what is amazed me, and I'll just break in here right here, is he looks like one of the most improved players in the whole league all year. I mean, because when he started, maybe 5, 10 passes a game, they didn't throw the ball really at all. And, he started increasing yardage, number of attempts, completions, touchdowns, few turnovers. It just has been amazing to watch his stat line improve as the year went along.
Mm. No, it's very good to see kind of develop. And it's interesting because apparently I didn't watch the USFL last year, but apparently he led the league in passing yards that year. So it was weird to see him struggle so much at passing early in, but he's been much better lately. And it's very crucial to the whole team, really.
Absolutely. All righty. Yeah.
But so this game came down to looked like the Brahmers were going to win it, but I forget his name. Someone.
John Parker Remo.
Well, no, the DC. Someone made a crazy catch
Oh
and
my
held
gosh.
on, and then that set them up for like 1st and goal at the 3, and they scored.
Yeah.
Converted the 1-point conversion, so went up by 1. And then Brahmas were driving down the field, but they made some questionable decisions, including one where they needed the clock stops within the 2-minute marker if you get a first down. They were like 3rd and 10, I think. Yep. And they just needed a first down, and they took a shot for the end zone. It's like, well, that's nice, but you should just kind of take the yards, try to get a first down, and then you're in better field goal position. If at worst case scenario, you're in better field goal position. Best case scenario, you're in a good position to, you can get another playoff. But it is what it is. And John Parker went for a 53-yard field goal for the win and missed it just wide right, I think. So that was tough because he's been the best kicker all year.
Yeah. I mean,
he almost made it. It was very close.
Well, a 53-yard field goal is not a chip shot. And for him to miss one, this is a difficult miss, especially at that range. But he's been so good all year. But you just shake your head, what could have went on. Now, had they won this game, would they have made it into the playoffs, or did it come down to tiebreakers?
No, they would have made it. So it would have come down to tiebreakers, but they were tied in division record, tied in head-to-head. It would have came down to the 3rd tiebreaker, which they would have won because of this game. So it's just real tough that this was for the playoffs. And then,
wow. And like you said, Jack Cohn finally becomes a quarterback.
Yeah, he's been doing great. It's like, where's this been?
I know. Too little, too late. Well, DC's kicker was 2 for 2, so that's a good thing,
Yep.
Looks like the kicking's gotten a little bit better in the league as everybody's starting to get a little bit better as the league winds down.
The kicking did get noticeably better as the time went on. I think a lot of that comes from there's not a lot of stuff to do for kickers who don't make the NFL. There's not a lot of leagues where you can stay fresh. And unlike like the NFL, where every team has at least one backup, usually 2, or you'll have a guy on a practice squad. Kickers usually, you usually kick kickers on the practice squad. You've got one guy on your main roster, and that's it. So it could, some of these guys were definitely out of practice, I imagine.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. So, yeah.
But yeah, so this is a big game as far as playoff implications, and then move into this one. Well, because of the last game, this game was pretty boring.
Just well, it was funny because the announcers were. Never mind. This game was on Sunday. I now know why the announcers were acting like Arlington had nothing to play for.
No, yeah, that was the thing.
This
was on Sunday, and it went to this game really doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
But,
yes.
It was a little. You can see the result. The team did start Cole McDonald. I don't know if it's resting starters. Jeremy Cox also. This is a very interesting thing. Houston's had a little bit of trouble running the ball. They still gotten decent overall, but they haven't had that one star. But Jeremy Cox came in, I think, in his first games he's played. And look at the stat line: 21 carries, 120 yards. They might have a guy here who will be important in the playoffs. Because the Renegades, I don't, they didn't bench anyone. I'm pretty sure. So
I don't know, because Luis Perez was still in the second half, and the announcers were talking about that. But I tell you what, even though he looked good at times, this game they can move the ball. His numbers are not that bad, but they can't score. They don't score touchdowns. So
yeah, no, their offense, even with the 9 points, it looked much better than what they were. But I mean, they just didn't really have much of a chance. Houston is a good team, and their defense too. This is Wade Phillips here, and we'll see later because there's some awards that are coming up. That Houston definitely has some impact players on defense. That's for sure.
yeah, absolutely. So we'll see how. We'll see how they come together next week, because I think we will have a good matchup next week between these two teams when they repeat. They'll flip though. It'll be at Houston this next time.
Yep. See, it's interesting that you say that. I kind of don't expect a good matchup. I feel like this is going to get out of hand pretty fast. Because look, both of these games, Houston's pretty well handled business, and
But playing a team for a third time in a season brings on a lot of differences. There's some potentials that somehow that third game where everything else changes for no reason. Playing a team that many times in one season, anything can happen at that point. I've just seen it happen before. And, should they do it? Yeah, of course, Houston should win the game. They're 3 games better, and they've had a consistent offense, more so than Arlington has. I mean, not that that's saying much about Arlington's offense, but, Luis Perez has shown the ability to move the ball if they can score touchdowns, though. That's the biggest problem with them. They can move the ball, but they can't put the ball in the end zone. And, all you need is that third matchup. Something clicks, and they get it right. So, but yeah, their kicker 3 for 3, 56 yards the longest. Wow.
Yeah, it's second longest, I think, in the XFL.
That is a heck of a kick. Yeah.
He was their offense this year. All the points came from him.
Wow. I mean, hey, if you're not going to score much, you might as well have a damn good kicker. So
yeah, and Taylor Russolino, former Battlehawk, by the way.
Over here, like Daisy Blossom said, I highlighted a moment ago, kickers are a whole different breed. Yep.
Oh yeah, I follow a YouTube channel that talks all about punters. It's pretty crazy. And punters are definitely they can be fun, but it's funny to see like a guy will be team will be down by like 4 touchdowns, and the punter hits a really good punt, and he just goes crazy.
Yep.
It's like, well, I guess this is that's the only time he sees the field. If you
some
do good,
are crazy
I guess.
though. They do all kind of weird stunts and preps and stuff. Kickers are definitely a bit weird.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it can be fun, but it can be pretty crazy too.
All right. Well, okay. This game was uneventful, but let's look and see what happens next week. Hopefully, next week we'll come back with a much better game, much different event, which then takes us to the last game of Week 10, the one that crushed St. Louis this season. Not really a game at all. This was a game we were kind of expecting Vegas to put up a little bit more of a fight. That Jalen McClendon actually had started to develop, had some good numbers in previous games, but
yeah, it was a pretty weird one. Now this one was the Dragons scored for the first time barely at the end of the second half. So this game was 0-0 for a long time, which I was happy about. But in the end, Dragons turned it on, and Vegas just never got started. You can see 6 for 21. It's pretty bad. He should have had a touchdown, but Matthew Sexton, I don't know if there's a highlight going around. He had the ball. He started celebrating way too early. They knocked the ball out of his hands, and there goes the
Leon Lett.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh my gosh, come on.
Dude, this
Especially
had to be
because
a.
they were
Oh,
down.
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
Sorry.
they weren't winning at the time. It's like, come on. At least if you're winning at the time, I still think, hey, make sure you get in the end zone, then do your celebration. Don't be an idiot. But you still got, make sure you actually score the points before you start celebrating. Because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, everyone always looks dumb. This is a thing in baseball too. This kept happening last year. There were
Mm-hmm.
like 2 or 3 guys who, they hit what they think is a home run and bat flip and are celebrating, and then they get caught out of the warning track. It's
Yeah.
like, well, way to go, dude. Now you just look dumb. But
Yeah.
no, it's just also this team was down. You got it. Like if you're up a lot, at least you can say, oh, well, they were, the adrenaline got to them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but this is like you're down. Make sure you score,
Exactly.
dude. What are you celebrating about? Even if they scored this touchdown, they'd still be losing. Like,
Well,
come on.
well, this had to be frustrating to watch from your standpoint with a 6-0 game at halftime. That
Yeah.
had to be horrendous to watch, and then the Sea Dragons blow open in the second half. Let me address something because while you were talking, I went ahead. I put a poll out on the YouTube side, trying to friggin' I forgot to close last night's poll, but it became Mrs. Dadman tied with other talking on my own stream. So I did get 2 votes of people wanting to hear me talk first, but tonight's poll on the YouTube on the show is which sport should we cover next? Football, the USFL, Major League Baseball, or soccer? So we got 2 votes right now. It's kind of split 50-50. So just curious if, in case we do, we'll still have our Sports Weekly show, but yeah, we'll see what happens. All right. Yeah, we but that's what Daisy's talking about there. But I guess 2 observations. McClendon was almost 25% completing the passes,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, but he made big passes, like
Oh yeah.
30 yards of completion. You'd expect a touchdown here or there, but there's no touchdowns, and 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 the fact that they were only down 6-0 at halftime. I mean, they really collapsed in the second half.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder because again, I didn't get to watch all of this game. Makes me wonder, was Jalen McClendon, was the defense good or was the offense bad for Vegas? I'm sure it's some mixture of both. I'm just wondering which, because you look at 6 for 21. It's hard to believe, even if you're a good defense, you can only get you can only have a 25-30% completion percentage if you're really just not having a good game.
Yeah, no, that was a stunningly bad stat line. It's not often you see it that bad. But what gets me is the average per catch, though. That was what was crazy.
Oh yeah.
Over 30 yards a catch, but
It's hard to believe that you'd have, pretty much 10 yards per attempt when you only have a 30% completion percentage.
no, yeah, exactly. Of course, only one interception. Benvenucci turned up. See, this is what's going to be interesting, and I think DC. Well, we need to wait before we make the comparisons. But first thing when I start looking at Danucci again is the interceptions. Yeah, he has 3 touchdown passes, but he's got 2 interceptions, and he's had the propensity to turn the ball over quite a lot this year. So,
And he did in this game. So,
yep. So, yep, that's where we got with the Week 10, folks. We got the last game of the season. The Seattle Sea Dragons took out the Vegas Vipers, clinched the second seed in the North Division for the right to play against the DC Defenders. So, all right. Thank you, Woopah. So, any other comments on Week 10 that you had, or anything else you want to say? Any other ramblings, rants? Condemn the officials again?
no, nothing right
Okay.
now.
All right. Well, good. There's still time to think about it. That'll be
That's
all
true.
good. Absolutely. So, hey, which takes us to the standings overall. As we see, it's a divisions of haves and have-nots.
Yeah.
Look at that, though. look at Houston wins the South with a 7-3 record. There's no other winning team. Yet you have both Seattle and St. Louis at 7-3. I mean, my goodness, that is talk about frustrating on being on one side looking at the other side.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy to think you have it so imbalanced where if you went by tiebreakers, both Seattle and St. Louis would have won the South because they have the head to head. And I think and they have, they have the head to head. They both went 4-0 against the South Division teams. And it's just like, wow. It makes you think how bad the South Division really was.
Oh yeah, even the better teams cannot beat the middle of the pack of the North. So, yeah, that's that. Wow, look at that! Look at the South, 6-0 against the division. So Houston beat everybody twice in the division, and Arlington, San Antonio split, and then of course Orlando didn't win a game in the division, but beat the best team in the league.
Yeah,
to go back to look at that crazy season. So, any other comments you got with the standings overall? Any other observations you want to make?
no, that's pretty much it. It sucks that St. Louis missed out the playoffs for sure. I think that the XFL is going to change this after this year, just because they got a lot of backlash. But at the end of the day, the only thing that really frustrates me is that the St. Louis didn't close it out when they could have. If they just took care of business at home, wouldn't have mattered, but they couldn't.
And that's where a lot of times it comes down to is taking care of your own business and losing games at home to teams that you should not lose to. Just will kill you. Yeah, but even with Seattle, losing a game to Seattle, yeah, Seattle is a good team, but you don't. I mean, they didn't even compete in that game. Remember, it was like they had low energy and they got beat pretty solid. It wasn't like they lost on a last second Hail Mary or a long field goal or something. They got beaten at home, and that's got to be a tough pill to swallow as a Battlehawks fan.
Mm-hmm. It sucks, and it does suck after you had. I mean, the last game of the season was such a good game, and then you go home and well, you miss the playoffs. It's like, well, darn. But
yep.
In the end, I mean, obviously, I'd like to make the playoffs, but we knew the rules going into this, and all we had to do was win at home. So, if you can't do that, well, that's on us, sadly.
Yep, and look at that, 3-2 at home overall in the season.
Yeah, it sucks.
Barely 500.
We were the number one team in attendance all over. They had home field advantage, that's for sure.
I tell you, that was a loud stadium in some of the games that I watched. That was by far easily the loudest stadium in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe it's the dome. I don't know, but I don't think it's just the dome. I think the fans are passionate and they were just jacked up and really loud.
No, there was a lot of attendance. Some of it, I feel like they fudge the numbers sometimes a little bit, just because. No, it's just
they all do.
Yeah,
we've been to many Jaguar games and they're like 70,000. We're looking at like what? That might be 50 if you're lucky, but yeah.
No, there were so many things of they say 30,000. Because I think our biggest was 38,000 and our lowest was still on like 33,000. And there was this last one was like, oh, we got 35,000 people here. And I'm like, well, this is definitely, you can tell that there's less people here than last week. And last week you said there was 35,000. So something's not adding up here.
The ticket sales, they sold the tickets. People just didn't show up,
Yeah.
I love the way they play ticket number games. And hey, let's say hi to Buddy Hepburn on the Twitch side. Hey, buddy, glad you're here. Thanks for jumping in for some chat. We appreciate it. Buddy says it's hard with only 4 teams per division. Makes it seem cheap when 2 teams have the same overall record without all the tiebreaker stuff. Yeah, it does. But you know what? We have the same debates like that happen in the NFL. Give me a second. I'm gonna pull something up if I can find it real quick. But see
All
that
right.
the NFL has historically had that kind of debate. There have had the debate about, well, like years the NFC really sucked. Uh, who deserved what? Let me go and let me bring last year's up. Let's see here. And what we're going to do, we're going to look at the NFC South here. So, here's the thing. Let me go ahead and take Buddy's comment down. Thank you, Buddy. Please, if you got comments, any of y'all got football questions, please ask them. Buddy, that was a damn good question. I appreciate the point there. And congrats on your soon to graduation. But like the whole debate here, you got the Cowboys were 12-5, a team second in their division, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because they won a division, get to host a home game. They did not even have a winning record, yet they hosted a home game. Granted, it's not like we'll see the same record as the Lions. No, the Lions actually ended up. So, well, here's the case: the Detroit Lions at 9-8 are eliminated from the playoffs, but Tampa Bay, because they won a division at 8-9, are in the playoffs. Seattle barely made it. Seattle made it because they beat Detroit and Green Bay on the tiebreakers. Anyway, Detroit won their last game of the year at Green Bay, and it mattered for nothing. But the whole point I'm trying to illustrate here is basically that same debate. You got that question, well, what happened there? Well, sometimes it's just the way that you're a victim of circumstance and the way it's set up. Because in this case, they're trying to reward the division winners, but still, I mean, when you look over, if Detroit was in the South, they would have won the division. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I guess the argument.
It's frustrating to deal with. It's really frustrating to deal with, but
I guess the
reward champions or division champions, but like in this case, this was not even division champion. This was some kind of weird tiebreaker rule.
Yeah, I think what the argument comes in, why my maybe people are more angry in the XFL than the NFL is, I mean, you only play 17 games a year and you've got 31 opponents. So in your division, you play them twice a year. So you're looking at 50% of your games against the division or 6 games against your division and then 11 against all the other teams.
Mm-hmm.
All other 28. So I guess the argument there that I can understand is, well, division is very important. Here, you did still play 2 in your division and 1 in the other division, but that means you play every team. So the Battlehawks beat they beat the Renegades, they beat these guys. If the Brahmas would have won, they beat the Brahmas too. So I think the argument, which I totally get, is yeah, you had your chance to play every team. You should put the team with the best record because they're not in just because of an inflated division, because they showed that they're better than the other. I don't think anyone's sitting here questioning, are the Battlehawks better than the Renegades? They definitely are.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you get kind of a disagreement because we've seen these teams against each other.
Mm-hmm.
You might not have seen Tampa Bay versus all the other teams that got in.
And let me go back to Buddy's point here again. Let me highlight that again. Buddy, thank you so much. It's hard with only 4 teams per division. It's cheap when 2 teams have the same record. Because it's only a 4-team league, maybe the league should have gone with one division. You know how, like in college basketball, they did away with the East and West and all these divisions, the conferences like the SEC. They put them in one pile, and they top to bottom, and then you seeded. Well, see, if you had something like this here, you'd have DC as a top seed. You'd have Seattle as a 2. Then probably St. Louis would be 3, followed by Houston with 4. If I understand what you said about the tie breaks, well, it's hard to make that because of the division records. The division is tiebreak. So, but either way, in point theory, if you had one jumbled division here instead of two divisions, you would have the top four teams. That'd be DC, Seattle, St. Louis, and Houston. Then all the four bottom feeders would be eliminated. And then you could see them from how they finished in the group. You know what I mean? Like it's like the conference tournaments in basketball do. That when you have such a small league, and that's why I think, like, to Buddy's point, was really, really good. When you have difficulties like this, it's kind of hard to justify a situation that happens here. Whereas in the NFL, you've got four divisions in each conference. Okay, so you can make the case that somebody earned a championship. In this case, yeah, what was the two overall divisions? Yeah, I agree. But see, like you also led to a good point though too. Is the whole point is whether it's two overall or multiple divisions. When you only have 8 teams, are you better off to just have one big league and then seed it that way? So, and hello to Rowan McPhee. Hello, welcome. Glad you're here.
I think one way you could have done it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I gotta hit the banner. I forgot about the banner. But welcome, Rowan McPhee. Everybody hit that like button if you're out there. Hit that like button on the YouTube side. Hit subscribe too if you haven't. We're close to 225. And hey, follow us like Brian, like Buddy does over there on the Twitch side too. So, okay. Sorry, Woopah. Go ahead.
I think maybe a better way to do it, and what I think it would be good to do moving forward, and we'll see. I think the thing is, most likely this won't happen again. Most likely you're going to have, the two best teams in the division have the two best records. This is just kind of crazy how it worked out. But what I think you could do is just make it to where if you have the divisions have the same scheduling, and just make it like, okay, the two division champions get home field advantage. Mm-hmm. So you win, you're playing the conference championship in your home turf. Mm-hmm. Sorry, excuse me. Jeez. And then you just have the next two spots be wild card spots, Mm-hmm. Like, okay, after we get the divisions, you just take the two best from there.
Yeah.
And you can say, okay, whoever has the best record gets to play the lowest record divisional team, something like that. I think that would be a good way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, when you have so few teams, there are different ways to do it. Your traditional, whether it's two divisions or, as Brian said, multiple divisions per conference, you start to water it down so much that you're going to have situations like this. And normally I argue against that type of, like in college basketball, with having one jumbled mess. But hey, maybe you should have that, or at least look for other different formats, other ways that you can do it to avoid these situations where you might end up with your four best teams. So, hey, well, you can stay around. Hey, you don't have to leave, but yeah, we will have a good night. We're still 8, almost 9 o'clock on the East Coast, but hey, check out our channel with more. Check it out. There's other videos and stuff we do, more than just sports and stuff. But hopefully, hang around a little bit, come back, you're gonna leave, and make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. Appreciate you being here. And Buddy Hepburn now says, "Do you see this going the same way with 8 teams for XFL?" and 8 teams for USFL, or do they merge at some point? Ooh.
I don't know. I kind of hope they merge, but it's just because the XFL doesn't have a lot of money in the end. Mm-hmm. They're kind of poor. It's just the truth. But I feel like their product is just better. The logos, like, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, but you look at the two teams. Not the two teams. You look at the two leagues. Mm-hmm. XFL uniforms and XFL logos just look so much better than the USFL's. I think they look cheap and weird. Even though their owner is rich, though, while the XFL doesn't have a ton of money. In the end, at least it sure seems like it.
Mm-hmm.
But if they merge, I think that'd be better. Having 16-team league would be cool, but even if they just kept it 8, one big issue that I think you can tell in the XFL, and I'm sure you can tell in the USFL because a lot of the best USFL guys went to the XFL.
Yeah.
You can tell that the talent pool is split. You can see
Yeah.
guys, it's like, well, when I watched the XFL in 2020, a lot of this stuff wasn't happening because the players were better. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be make the overall pet product look much better if they uh, merged. And I think you could still have two two conferences and two divisions. Maybe make it a proper 18 playoffs. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting because you're one of the people that can comment on that intelligently because you followed the XFL both seasons. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so hey, there you go. But hey, it's all it's a matter of debate. I personally I think the two leagues would do better together than apart. Because like you said, the talent pool has obviously degraded from the XFL. You can only have so much of minor league talent. Kind of the way we kidded with the name calling this pro-ish football. Because it's definitely not NFL caliber, but it's kind of it's not quite what it, you know, you're what you think of real pro football or like the NFL is. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it would be good for them to merge. But you know what? I think business interests and business owners would keep them from doing that, or uh, you know, because they're in competition. Like you said, Tamu was he the USFL last year? Did you say?
Yeah, he was in the USFL last year, and then he went to the XFL when it rebooted. And I assume, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I guess in theory he could still come back, but
Mm-hmm.
the USFL has started already. It's
Yeah.
most likely anyone who ended the year on an XFL roster is not going to go to the USFL. There's just not going to be enough time to get them reacclimated. And especially if you're on a playoff roster,
Mm-hmm.
you're not. Yeah, you still got 3 more weeks of this, and this is the USFL's third weekend. So
Yep. 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 All
all
righty.
right.
So, but no,
So
that's a good point. That's a good question, buddy. You know, I, I like having two leagues. I need to watch a week of the USFL and see how it compares.
I
So,
I, I probably should. I haven't watched. I like spring football. Don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, the reason I'm into this is because there's a team in St. Louis. So it's just
yep.
harder for me to get into. It's like why am I rooting for this
Well,
team?
well, the thing is, the USFL teams. Then we'll pull something up real quick on that since we were talking a little bit like that. And Buddy, I think so. Playing is better overall in the USFL so far.
Really interesting.
Yeah,
That's interesting because I think you're the first person I've heard say that. Everyone else I've seen has said XFL is better. But
I'm trying to figure out USFL, but it won't. Let's see in it. The
do you need me
ESPN
to
thinks
stop
this.
sharing?
No, you're okay right now. I'm just trying to find USFL here on ESPN. It won't give me an option for them. Let me
I
see.
wonder if they're not partnered together because I know ESPN and XFL have a partnership.
Yeah, hold on a sec. Let
Maybe.
me let me see. Let's see. I'm going to look at the schedules because there's something I wanted to say, but I need to verify it before I
I think
do.
I'm thinking I know what you're gonna say.
Hey, we
Based
got
on what I
nine.
just.
Yeah, we got 9 people with us. Wow. Hey, everybody. Dude, I tell you, it's like the late arriving crowds of baseball games. It's like, why don't we just take the first half an hour off? But hey, I love having you guys here. And the great Lisa's coming through. Howdy, Lisa. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello.
Um, what I wanted to see here with this is before I said I needed to confirm it. Buddy says Fox Sports has the USFL. So one of
Yeah,
the
I
one.
know that they've got a much better TV lineup. That's why
Mhm. Well,
I
we
think the XFL won last week, but I know in week one the USFL won, and it's like, well,
well we
that's
talked
because
about that. We talked about in the early season. Um, yeah, it was on FS1. All these obscure networks. Who the heck could get to it?
yeah, and a lot of things on ESPN too, which is like, that's not gonna go.
Yep.
And you could tell. I think in week 9, whatever game was on ESPN2, uh, you were looking at mostly like somewhere between 800,000 to 1 million viewers, and then you had the one on ESPN2 got like 200,000, and it's like, wow, that's bad.
Well, here's what I'm seeing. Week 3, USA and Peacock, New Orleans at Birmingham, 12:30 p.m. We're going to end up talking ourselves into football where we're going to cover USFL somehow. But
That's what the Monday show's for, you know.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, Memphis at Houston, 7 p.m. on Fox. Then Sunday is Pittsburgh at Philadelphia at noon, NBC Peacock. New Jersey at Michigan at 4 p.m. on Fox. So it looks like, and then the next week it's Fox, NBC and Peacock, and FS1. So then you got the next week where USA's involved. So you got quite a few little. Oh yeah, the sports website. Yeah, that's okay, but yeah, that's still quite interesting. But the whole point is, look at those games, look at the networks they're on. But here's what I wanted to highlight here, and I'm going to bring this up real quick. Actually, here, add the stream here, there. If we look here, last year in 2022, the USFL all played all their games in Birmingham. They got the Michigan Panthers, New Jersey Generals, Philadelphia Stars, Pittsburgh Maulers, Birmingham Stallions, Houston Gamblers, New Orleans Breakers, Memphis Showboats. All of them played in Birmingham last year. This year, they're now playing in. Stop that a second. This year, it says 4 host cities: Detroit, Memphis, Canton, Ohio, and Birmingham, Alabama. Now, when you're in Birmingham, Alabama, and Canton, Ohio, you're not going to get big crowds to begin with. But
Well, Birmingham could have some big crowds, I think.
uh,
Um,
most
I don't
people I
know
knew
if
there
we.
didn't go because I know somebody that were playing Fortnite with that said they regretted not going last year to all the games that they had there because they were so cheap and nobody went. So, but the
I
New
think
Jersey,
it's just. I think the AAF and bringing
mm-hmm,
back way well, it's not way old. It's 2019, but it feels like it's forever ago. They had Birmingham Iron, and that was a pretty good team.
yeah,
They got a good attendance. They were one of the 2 big. I think they were one of the 3 big ones. You had San Diego, uh, San Antonio, and Birmingham. Um, but Birmingham, they're probably just going to want to see the team that's Birmingham.
yeah,
Why would you want?
mm-hmm,
I just don't think that there's a lot of.
yep,
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. That's all I'll
no.
say.
Let's see. This year they branched out to 4 host cities, not just Birmingham. The New Jersey Generals and Pittsburgh Maulers will be hosting Canton, Ohio, at the Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. Why didn't they pick somewhere in New Jersey or Pittsburgh to at least get somewhere close to your team? I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
I
just go
guess
call
they're
them
just.
Ohio something, or call them Cleveland, or and call them well, because I know there weren't old USFL Cleveland team, but the whole point is there's no geographical tie-in with this team. Birmingham and New Orleans plays in Birmingham Protective Stadium. At least there's some closeness there. The Michigan Panthers, Philadelphia Stars are hosted at Detroit, Michigan. Ford Field. Well, there's Michigan at least for you, but Philadelphia, uh, you know, and Memphis Showboats, Houston Gamblers hosted Memphis, Tennessee. So there's 2 stadiums where there's actually 3 that are hosting one of the teams, but that's 5 teams that aren't playing anywhere close to where their quote fan base would be. And
Yeah, and
looking at it,
that's
go ahead, yeah, go
that's
ahead.
the thing. I know that there's people, because there's people who will just watch sports because it's sports. They really like
Us,
sports, and I do
us,
that a lot. Yeah,
yeah,
but at the end of the day, it's like I know I watched the AAF when it came out, and I was like, I want a team, and I picked a team, and
mm-hmm,
I was into it, but I didn't follow it nearly as much as I did the XFL, because the XFL, it's like, hey, we got the St. Louis Battlehawks. I'm going down to the Dome, and I think you can see with how good, not just how good the attendance has been at St. Louis, but even in DC. Now they're doing sellouts. Their sellouts are a little bit less because they're playing in a smaller stadium, but they're selling out crowds of 18,000. That's good for spring football.
Yeah.
And if they're selling out so quickly, that means they could, if the stadium had more, they could hold more. And they've got a nice atmosphere there. Not at every stadium. You can tell, like the Vegas Stadium and Orlando Stadium is pretty dead. But like DC Stadium is pretty. I mean, St. Louis is really rocking, but DC Stadium is rocking too. And even San Antonio, for the team being not very good, you could tell that the home, their home crowd was pretty good as well. But my point is, like, having that connection to the city, I think, really matters. And most of these teams, they don't have that. You're betting on USFL just being people, they like football. And I don't think that that's going to appeal to as wide of a crowd.
Yep. A couple other things I thought interesting with USFL is that 10 weeks, and they do the same thing. The 2 division winners will advance to the playoffs. So, so they could theoretically have the same situation. So it goes through June. Oh, wow, the middle of June. Wow, that's kind of cool. But anyway, that's kind of where the took a little deviation off into the USFL, but kind of how that goes. So let's see. So that's where we are with that. All right. So what do we have next, Woopah? We've let's see. Actually, let me do one thing real quick before I bring up your thing here. I want to take a look at something really quick. I'm proud of my New Jersey Devils because they were down 2-0, lost the first 2 games at home to the Rangers, but have won 3 in a row.
It was a good game last night too.
I mean, they dominated. It's like really cool. But oh my gosh, hey. In the third, New York Islanders are up 1-0 on Carolina. Guess what? Boston tied 2-2, but then Panthers scored again. So Panthers up 3-2 and halfway through the second period with Dallas, Minnesota, and Colorado, Seattle later. So, hey. And hello, Balzette. Welcome, our great friend. How are you?
Hello.
Hopefully you're doing well tonight. So, all righty. So, Woopah, let's talk. Well, we got 6 people here. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. If you haven't, check your subscriptions because we got hit recently with losing. God, so hard to try to get 225. We would have been there, but what YouTube gives, I guess it takes away. So anyway, it's just crazy. But hey, we're going to preview the championship week. So now, South Division Championship preview, and oh man, wow, you're tired. Yeah. Modding for a guy, in Japan. All right, I might know who that is possibly, but hey, cool. Well, you're here now. That's what counts, and we got plenty of stuff left now, and plenty of stuff coming later. All right, Woopah, tell us about the South Division Championship. We got a losing record of Arlington Renegades at the Houston Roughnecks. So
this is I had to get creative with the head-to-head placing because I was running out of room on this thing. But so previous both games, Houston won both. 23-14 was the first one, and 25-9 was the last one that we saw last week. The two, Arlington. The biggest thing is that they have no real offense. Now, they have looked a lot better with Luis Perez in charge. 1,636 passing yards in 8 games, 66.5% completions, 9 touchdowns, but 7 interceptions and 2 fumbles as well. But the defense on the Renegades is very good. They are led by Bob Stoops. And you see Will Hill, a big name that's known pretty far and wide. He is also a former Battlehawk. He did great this year. And also Joe Powell, 4 interceptions. That's tied for second um, in the league, and also got a fair amount of tackles in. But the big thing is, as I put down, Donald Payne, linebacker, he was kind of challenging for the league lead in tackles, but he, I think, went down week 8 with a season-ending injury. So
Right.
that's a big hole that they need someone to step up into. And on their defense, I don't know. We'll see. Um, on the Houston side, though, I'd say the very, very heavy favorites in here. They've got a lot of good wide receivers. Maybe not one that stands out, but still a lot of good wide receivers.
Yeah.
And their defense is just the best in the league. You got Trent Harris. He missed a game possibly last week, but look at that, 9.5 sacks. That leads the league by far.
In 10 games, folks. This is a 10-game season, not like 17 like the NFL. So this is about a sack a game.
Yeah, and he did excellent. And Ajene Harris, however you say it, this quarterback, he has 5 interceptions, leads the league, and he has a fumble. He had the crazy fumble recovery where he just ripped it out of the wide receiver's hands and took it back for the score. He's been great, and they've got other guys. They got Will Likely, who has 2 fumble recovery touchdowns, and they just got so many guys who are standout. The biggest question really is going to be quarterback. So here, let me Google this because I probably should have done this before. I don't know. I don't know who's going to start, really. Let me check Reddit. Reddit is never lies.
Oh, yes.
But it's just so I don't know. Sorry, I should have looked this up beforehand. It's just
it's all right. Hey, but listen, one thing that I've noticed with this really kind of skanky is the quarterback numbers. I mean, Luis Perez, 9 touchdowns, 7 picks. It's horrible. But then again, Brandon Silvers, 13 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. I mean, it's just incredible. It's just incredible to have such average or mediocre quarterback play. And when you have that, it makes for bad games, boring football. You don't have much to look forward to when you have quarterback play like that, because mostly these leagues really come down to being quarterback driven. How your quarterbacks play is how your offenses go, how your entertainment goes with these games, because nobody wants to go watch everybody run the ball. I mean, the Bear Bryant football was out 20 years ago. It's about excitement, especially in these type of leagues. You want to get more up to date speed, of the games and stuff like that. Which I might have to get back into the AF arena footballs type stuff soon. I'll talk to you about that later. Remind me.
All right. But I think Brandon Silvers is kind of the opposite of the guy we talked about, Jack Cohn. Jack Cohn just starting to heat up as the league's ending. Brandon Silvers came out of the gate pretty good. I think he threw 2 touchdowns in each of his first 4 games. And started to clean up the turnover issues. But just lately he has not played well. And it makes you wonder, are they going to go to Cole McDonald? But he hasn't been. Cole McDonald hasn't been very good either. So
he did good last week in the start, but it was a very quiet 10 for 11 or whatever it was. It was not really. They didn't really light the world on fire with his performance.
Yeah, I mean, 10 for 11 is great completion percentage, but only 11 passes all game. It's not a lot. Which, hey, it worked for them.
Yeah,
and maybe that's the thing. Maybe the thing to draw from here is Houston doesn't need a quarterback to play well, but it's one thing to do it against the losing team that made it to the playoffs. It's another thing with doing it against if they win this game, which I would certainly expect they do. They're probably going to need good quarterback play when they go into next week. versus whoever makes it out of the North.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But yeah. Do you have anything to add about this? I feel like
Not really. It was just really it's not expecting much out of this game. Very weak quarterback. And like I said, not that statistically the numbers are bad from percentage completed, but there's no production. I mean, they give the ball away about as much as they do score, and it's really hard to get excited about that matchup or look for much excitement out of it. This probably should just be an easy 23-14, 25-9. Probably expect a similar type of score. So like a 24-10, 24-14 type game.
Yeah, something in that range I'm expecting. I think it'd be shocking if Houston doesn't win that game.
Yeah,
in my opinion, at
least.
Least.
But then again, like I said, third time in the same season, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they're not that far apart, even though their records. I think it's a deceiving three games separation, but not that I expect Arlington to win, but I wouldn't be surprised either because Houston has also shown the ability to be very average when it doesn't need to be. Nope. So that's all I got for that one. So.
All right. Well, let's go to this one. This is going to be probably the much more exciting one. You're talking about.
Yes, absolutely.
Seattle Sea Dragons going to DC, which is sold out for this. And the first thing that stands out to me is look at the previous matchup. So week 1, DC won by 4. And here I think in week 7 or week 8, DC only came out with a 1-point win.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a team that, they've been close before. DC has won both, but it hasn't been by a very wide margin. And the biggest thing is how explosive these offenses are. Now, I did put DC does have Michael Joseph, who did pretty well earlier in the season. And Santos Ramirez has been a major part of this. 2 interceptions and 2 tackles for a loss. He's played really well. But mostly, especially you look lately, I guess lately Seattle's defense been doing better. But these are teams that they give up a decent amount of scoring. Their offense is where it comes in. You got Ben DiNucci leading the league in passing yards. He does have obviously a lot of turnovers, but still 18 turnovers, but 23 touchdowns. And he gets it. He had more rushing yards in the year than Jordan Ta'amu did.
Yeah.
But on the other side, you've got Jordan Ta'amu only 3 interceptions all year. To compare that with 14 passing touchdowns, and even then, that's a little deceiving because before he had 13 passing touchdowns in the last 6 games.
Yeah.
So you're more looking at the reason that's low is because of the first 4 games.
But we would have thought Abram Smith would have been a 1,000-yard rusher the way they were running the ball to start the season. But he ended up with under 800. Yeah, it's crazy how that team has one of the things that got me, and is this number correct? Is that Josh Gordon 64 targets but only 38 catches?
Yeah,
that's like 20. That's almost 26 times his ball's going in his direction, but not even been close to catching or didn't catch. And fouls out, I can scream, ah! But thank you for being here. Hey, we'll try to make football fun. We get wrapped up in our numbers sometimes, so. But yeah, that whole point, that's 26 targets. That normally the numbers are at least somewhat closer, I think.
Yeah, it's a lot. But I mean, you look. I think Ja'Cory Pearson got 20 more targets and still had less drops. But both these guys are very good. Like I said, Dragons have the best passing attack in the league by a very wide margin. I think the story of the game is really going to be Ta'amu. Yeah, he's developed into a very complete quarterback. The stats can be deceiving based on what we've seen from him lately. He looks much better than he did early on in the season.
Absolutely.
So this is going to be, I think it's going to be a shootout. I think you're looking at, while we're talking about last week, maybe 2024. I think both teams are going to easily clear 20 this game. I don't know if both teams will have 30, but I think you're going to see a pretty back and forth game.
That'd be incredible to see a 30-pointer in this one. But, it did happen last time. So, how do you see this game turning out, though? I like your key factors. Dragon has the best passing attack in the league by a wide margin. And the thing is, from beginning to ending the season, they've been the one team that's been consistent. Even St. Louis, even though McCarron has done well, he's had a lot of down games too. But Danucci's had some yards, so at 2,700 yards. We talked about DC, the slow passing start. So, we talked about the passing attack for the Dragons, but then Ta'amu's become a better overall passing quarterback, not just a running quarterback in recent weeks. So, good observations on those key factors, though. So, but if you had to pick, how did you see this game going?
I feel like I have to go with DC. I just think that it's hard to say, especially with their defense kind of slipping up lately. But I mean, it's hard to go with the team that only has one loss, and that one loss was by 1 point. So it's just it's hard to say. It's hard to expect them to slow down anytime soon.
Well, I look at it kind of the opposite way. In some ways, those are good cautions. Like they lost by 1 point, but they lost by 1 point to the worst team in the league. They have been slipping up. They have been slipping up noticeably lately. They've been playing a lot more close games, and they've had good starts, but then fell flat during games. I honestly, after watching Seattle go on the road and beat St. Louis, and then they were on the road to beat the Brahmas again. Give me Seattle on the road for this one. When I look at those two scores, when I see the trend with DC, as long as Danucci does not screw up and keep turning the ball over, 5 fumbles, 13 interceptions, if he can protect the ball better, I could see Seattle knocking off DC.
All right.
So
there we go.
I have one disagreement.
Yeah.
Gotta have something. Hey, all right.
So that's all we have for that. But there is some things I wanted to include because they'll be voted on before.
Okay.
Before our next episode, they announced some awards. There's 4 awards that are going to be announced before the episode, and the next time, they're going to talk about the all XFL team. But we won't talk. We'll say that for next episode.
Okay. Yeah, probably. Because next week we're not going to have a lot to talk about after the recap, so that'd be a good thing to hold it for next week.
But so for this one, they got 4. Yeah, 4 of the awards. The first one is going to be Coach of the Year, and I think this is going to come down to these 3 guys. So these aren't official. These aren't official nominees. They haven't released that, as far as I'm aware.
Right.
And
but they make sense.
Yeah, I will say. I think people have said, "Oh, what about Battlehawks? They went 7-3." I don't think it's all been bad, but I don't think a lot of it has been good. Our head coach's play calling. He's one of the guys who didn't really have a lot of experience.
But how do you go against a name like Haslett, Wade Phillips? Unless you are like Reggie Barlow having the best team in the league, Yeah,
and even then,
Reggie Barlow's most of his time's been in the NCAA. I remember him as a receiver for the Jaguars, but
I know he's. Yeah, and I think maybe you say, well, it's only NCAA, but you don't make it 14 years in the NCAA if you're not good at what you do. Yeah. I know not everything's the same, but still, I think that's a big deal. I think the 9-1 is going to play a big factor in it. And just looking at number 1 rushing offense, number 1 rushing defense, number 1 scoring offense, they've scored the most points out of everyone. And it's hard to argue with that. You've got Jim Haslett as well. number one passing offense and number one total offense, as well as actually the number one scoring defense, which I mean, like they allowed the fewest points, which I was surprised to find out about.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if that plays into it. Uh, and then we have Wade Phillips, pretty big name. They had the number two rushing offense, which is crazy to think of, considering they don't really have that one running back that you really think of. But just look at this defense: number three rushing defense, number one passing defense, most sacks in the league, lowest yards allowed, and second lowest points allowed. This has just been a suffocating defense all around. And it's not like they have a lot of names that you would remember. Some of these teams, you like, like we talk about the Renegades, they have Will Hill. They've had a pretty good defense as well. There's not really a lot of people on Houston that you knew before this. And this defense is far and away the best defense in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I kind of think if you're giving it to someone, you either give it to Reggie Barlow or Wade Phillips. I feel like I'd probably give the edge to Reggie Barlow. Just 9-1. And he's done a pretty good job of utilizing this offense. I feel like he's the one that deserves it. But if you give it to Wade Phillips just because of how ridiculous that defense has been, I could see him maybe being a sleeper option for it.
Well, see, I think Barlow by the far, because look at what Ta'amu. I mean, you have a quarterback that developed really, really well as the season went along. The team went from a almost exclusively running team to really a passing attack first. So,
yeah, I think
it's not the numbers. Hello, yes, a lot of times it comes down to. I will tell you, and that's true about that. I mean, there are times when it's not the numbers. There are times when sometimes these awards come down to popularity contest. I've seen many coaches, whether it's NFL or college sports or whatever, you got somebody that's turned a program around amazingly, and they didn't get the coach of the year or something else. Which makes me think of something real quick here with this. While I'm checking, it is a popularity contest. In many cases.
Well, we've seen this in baseball a lot. Gold Glove often doesn't really go to the best defender. Sometimes it just goes to the guy with the best reputation. We've seen some guys who are winning, and you look at the numbers and you say, well, this guy was really a better player. But just the other guy, he's got the reputation for being so good that they give the award to him just off of that prestige.
Yeah. I'm trying to find out. Oh, here it is. Yes. Here we go. Balzette, I know you don't like sports, and I appreciate the hell of you being here with us, just, being with us and spending time, because I tell you, you came up with a great point right there, whether you know it or not, about it not being the numbers. Okay. Prime example. The NFL just voted in February for their coach of the year. The Jacksonville Jaguars have been one of the worst teams in the league for 20 years by far. They had a disaster, one win or whatever with Urban Meyer the year before. I mean, it was a drama in Jacksonville the year before. This team was so far down with no expectations. At least the New York Giants had something of a quarterback and something of a structure. But instead of, let me see if I can get let's see. Yes. Oh my God, Woopah, it was even worse than I thought. Brian Daboll for the New York Giants won the coach of the year for 2022. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking Doug Peterson for the Jaguars was second. No. Kyle Shanahan was second of the 49ers. If any damn person knows a goddamn thing about sports, there's no fucking way that the Jaguars head coach should not have been coach of the year, or at worst second, And yes, Balzette, that's probably about the truth of it. Because, that's bullshit. And I've been a big critic of the Jaguars for many years, and I like them being down. But you know what Doug Peterson did with that team? I'm not talking about a one-year turnaround like you did with Shanahan with getting the right quarterback to make your roster, or even Daboll. He had a foundation. The Jacksonville Jaguars were a true wreck, a train wreck. And for him to end up third with 75 points, with only 5 first place votes, Shanahan got 12 first place votes and 100 points, and Dable got 16 first place votes for 123 points. Yeah, it's. I'm not going to post that up there, but people in the chat can see what you said. But yeah, it feels that way a lot of time, and it is not the numbers. Because if anybody objectively took, I think the Jaguars had 1 win last year, and it's a team that many years had 1 or 2 wins in the last 5 years, pretty consistently. Let's see. Here we go. Let me do this then real quick.
That's pretty crazy.
I'm sorry. I worked up. Yeah.
And Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers were good last year. I'm not saying he's bad, but
no, but they had a base. They had a base. They had stuff to work with.
Well, they were in the NFC Championship game last year. Like again, they were, or not last year, the year before. So it's like that, sure he did good, but you got to give more credit to the guy who turned around an entire program, not just the guy who did the same thing you did already.
Yeah, not just turning around a program. Dable turned around the Giants. Fine, okay? But the Giants, and I'm waiting for my computer to bring this up for the Jaguars records in recent years. Folks, this is I know this is an XFL show, but the comment is we talk about football and all, so this is an opportunity to talk about it because I think we're about done, aren't we, Woopah?
We got 3 more awards to go.
Oh, okay, 3 more. Sorry, I got hung up on this one, but this one kind of jumps out to me. But like the point that was raised is it's not the numbers. And let's see, this is a team that's 186, 189, 261, and a number whatever ties over 29 seasons. I'm trying to find. These are as a team that still their all-time leaders in passing and running are played 30 years ago. That's how bad they are. But why don't you go ahead and move us on to the next, because I know we got other things that I've got to move on to a little bit later. But I'll come back because I do want to finish the point on this. But why don't you go ahead and move us to the next awards?
All right. So the next one they have is Special Teams Player of the Year. And there's a little interesting caveat that I'm wondering if they're going to do something a little weird with this. But they specified in this that they said by special teams, they meant also by how they did with point after attempts.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me wonder, are they going to do something sneaky like maybe a De'Aaron King? Because he was often the quarterback on the point after attempts for the DC. You could say the same with Cole McDonald. So I wonder if they might do something interesting like that. But I let them out because I don't really know. And I feel like I feel like this matters more. And I think maybe a guy who's the favorite, John Parker Romo, 17 for 19. I put 17 straight field goals made. I think it was 16, but still 16 straight field goals made. That's crazy. 57 was the longest, and 9 out of 10 from over 40. The only one he missed over 40 was the one in the very last one he made. But
keep him out of the playoffs. Keep him out of playoffs. Yeah,
because he's been pretty much all year automatic, and you're talking about a Brahmas team that wasn't very good. He was probably one of their biggest point scorers, probably won in some games there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like he might be the favorite just because, kickers have an advantage there, but he's been so good. This next one I have that's potential is my Battlehawk guy, Darius Shepard. He had the most kick returns in the league, was number 1 in kick returns by a pretty good amount. Second in kick return average, 24.5, and had that 80-yard longest. That was one heck of a punt return. I got to watch that, and then ensuing next play, I got to watch the Battlehawks screw it up. It was. He's been a big part. His kick returns, I think he's easily the best kick returner in the league. Mm-hmm. There was no really punt returners that stand out, so I didn't include any. But then punters, I think I guess it depends on what they want to go with. I put Mac
Yeah.
Brown here just because, well, for keep in mind he had only 8 games played, so he's low in punt return yards, fourth in average, fifth in punts inside the 20 with 2 touchbacks, and did have 1 blocked punt. But I guess reason I add him in here is really for the 2 for 3 with 153 passing yards and a touchdown. Those fake punts, I wonder if that helps get them in, because that's just such a.
Yeah.
You ask people to remember a special teams play from the XFL, it's probably going to be, one of those complete passes that he had. So I wonder if that gets him in.
We might as well with the quarterback play for the punters in this league. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
But the last thing I have here, which I wonder is Brad Wing here, old NFL player. He was pretty much, if you're just looking at punting, he was the best punter in the league. He led the league in punt average, led it in punt yards. The only guy who was over 2,000. He had a whole lot of punts. He was tied for first with punts inside the 20. Had a 72 longest. He did have 5 touchbacks, which might hurt him just because touchbacks are pretty painful in this league. It's not necessarily like the NFL. They come out to the 35. So, but he's just booting the ball and having the most inside the 20. He's definitely the best punter. If I had to give it to someone, I feel like John Parker Romo probably gets it. But I could see Mac Brown maybe getting it just because, he's had some of the most memorable special teams plays.
See, I give it to the offensive kicker, which is the one that scores John Parker Romo. But it's just so sad that he missed his first and his last kicks of the season.
Yeah.
That just sucks so badly.
It is pretty rough. Yeah. I feel bad for him.
All right. Well, like you said, it'll come down to what the criteria are, and that's what's subjective. So, All right. So, what's our next award?
So, the next one is Defensive Player of the Year. And this one, I think, is one of the ones that's the most crowded. And I don't know. I don't know which one's the guy to go for. It really just depends on what you personally value in defense. So Jordan Williams, first in tackles, and you can see 89 tackles in 10 games, leads the league by 26 tackles, which is crazy. And he's tied for first in the league in tackles for loss. He doesn't have a lot other than that. He has 1 interception and 1 fumble return, 1 scoop and score. He didn't cause the fumble. He just recovered it. But other than that, he doesn't have a lot besides the tackles. But when you're looking at a guy who led the league in tackles by that much, maybe you don't need as much. But then you've got guys like Trent Harris, 9.5 sacks, 2 more than anyone else. And he had that, he was tied with Jordan Williams for most tackles for a loss. Only 30 tackles, so it wasn't the most, but he's just a guy who got to the quarterback better than anyone else. Pia Tamapenu, kind of similar, only 26 tackles on the year, but second in sacks with 7.5, still had 8 tackles for a loss, and led the league in forced fumbles. So that's another thing. Are you taking that into account with the fact that he's causing turnovers that maybe other guys aren't? And that kind of goes into the other thing with cornerbacks. When you're looking at Ajene Harris, I mean, I feel like he was the best cornerback. Only 31 tackles, but forced fumble recovery, touchdown, led the league in interceptions. He was just very dominant. You could tell a lot of times when he was in the game. When I was watching Houston, you heard Ajene Harris' name a lot. And he had Michael Joseph. I don't think he's going to get it, but I included just because second in interception still with 4, has the forced fumble and fumble recovery, and then the 2 touchdowns. He's the only player with 2 defensive touchdowns. Is that going to move the needle for him? I really don't know. I think.
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think this really comes down to what do you value in a defensive player? What's the most important metric for you? Because there's a lot to choose from.
To me, interceptions. I mean, that's where it gets subjective, though. But what does the individual voter? I mean, that five interceptions, but then again, Michael Joseph is 4, but has more tackles. So Otherwise, they're pretty even. So,
Yeah, to me, I would go with another Brahma here. I'd pick Jordan Williams. I know it's just tackles, but man, when you have 26 more than anyone else in the league,
mm-hmm.
you're doing something right.
Yep.
Uh, and I feel like that should have the edge for him. But I don't know what the voters are going to think of. And all these guys are very good in their own right. It's hard to say.
Yep.
I think this is going to be probably the most interesting vote of the night here.
All righty. Well, we got the defensive. So that what is our last category?
So the last one is offensive player of the
All
year.
right.
No surprise. And this one, well, we'll see, but I think it's just an easy choice. And I think it's all my boy AJ McCarron. Look
Yeah.
at 9 games played, first in completion percentage at 68.8, second in passing yards with 2,150, first in passing touchdowns with 24, 10 turnovers, 6 interceptions, and a fumble. And he had 100 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. Not big on the ground, but when you're looking at
Yep.
just how many touchdowns he had, kept the turnovers kind of limited, and
Yep.
was very efficient with the ball. And this is also 9 games worth of stats. He missed 1 game. And I think that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing that puts him over maybe someone like Ben DiNucci, who played 10 games. And yeah, he had more passing yards with 2,671, but was second in passing touchdowns, um, and had 18 turnovers, fourth in completion percentage with 64.7. The thing think might give him an edge, why I'm including him here, is just he was making big plays. He's AJ McCarron, obviously not in the playoffs, and also the rushing yards. Ben DiNucci was pretty good on the ground, 300 rushing yards in 10 games. That profile is pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then we get interesting. Obviously, I'm rooting for AJ McCarron, and I think he'll get it. I think this is the one award besides maybe coaching that has a clear winner, but I could
Mm-hmm.
see it going to other people like Abram Smith. Number first in rushing attempts, 150. And this is the thing, it's just do you give it to the best player, which I think would be AJ McCarron, or do you give it to the player who is just better than everyone else? Because I think you can make a case while AJ McCarron was the best player, Ben DiNucci wasn't too far behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm sure some people might say Ben DiNucci, but I'm going with AJ McCarron. But
I
look
would.
at Abrams. But look at Abram Smith, 43 more carries than anyone else.
They're not going to get it.
300.
Yeah, I know the difference is amazing, but
Man,
it's not a sexy position. It's not like he went for 2,000 yards or 1,500 some big. It is that he's so drastically different than the other running backs in the league. But to me,
yeah.
most of your leagues are going to be your quarterbacks, and I agree it's going to be between McCarron and DiNucci. And to me, a 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio to me gives McCarron a really big advantage. And let me say hello to Stunning and Brave and to Harry Berry. Well, welcome.
Hello.
Hopefully y'all are enjoying your time here. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe on the YouTube side, please. We appreciate your support. Get a chance to go back and look at our other content with different things. Tonight we're talking XFL football. From spring football. We love your questions related to football. And things like that. We do other shows, and I'll preview some of those a little bit later. And we're actually going to have a triple header tonight. So, but
yeah.
but hey, when for now we're winding down with the XFL, looking at the postseason. We looked at the postseason matchups, and now the postseason awards real quick. So, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't cut you off from Jacor Pearson though.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying Abram Smith. He's got
Yeah.
so much more than other guys. Maybe that tips him over the scale of just, look how much value he added versus other running backs in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacor Pearson, I think he's a long shot, but I felt like I had to add him because look, I mean, everything but touchdowns, he's number one in targets, number one in receptions, number one in receiving yards. No one got relied on more than him. And Ben DiNucci, there's two parts of every passing attack. Sure, you have to have a good quarterback, but you got to have good wide receivers behind it, or it's not going to go well. And I think we see that's Jacor Pearson right here. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a long shot, but you're talking about the best wide receiver in the league. It's him, no question.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I'm picking AJ McCarron, my boy. It sounds
Okay.
like you are as well.
Yeah. Oh, by far, Danucci. Too many turnovers.
Mhm.
It's
It's
way
too
too
much
many
turnovers for
turnovers
me.
for an MVP or for an offensive player of the year. So
And something I think is interesting, and I'm actually okay with this, is no MVP in this league. There's only offensive player, defensive
hmm,
player, special teams
wow.
player.
But you have a
Now,
coach of the year. Wow.
I'm okay with it just because I mean, look at what we've seen in the NFL. The last time a non QB won it was Adrian Peterson in 2013. And Adrian
Dang.
Peterson had to damn near break the rushing record, the single season rushing record to get
Yeah.
that MVP. So
Yes.
MVP most valuable players pretty much just best quarterback award.
Yeah.
And so I'm okay with not having the MVP just because it would go to a quarterback.
Yeah.
I think
Exactly.
so. I feel like we'd know what that award would go to if we had the MVP. So it's nice just to have offensive. I feel like there's a better chance of like if you had an MVP, I think you'd clearly go AJ McCarron. With an offensive player of the year, I think it gives more debate between like, well, do you give it to AJ
Hmm.
McCarron or do you give it to Abram Smith? I feel like that's a better way to do it, just in my opinion. But
Absolutely. I got you. I got you. So
oops.
that's stunning is tired. Hey. Wow. Hey. Well, welcome. You're not done yet for the night. I'll have some more fun coming up. Like I said, we got a few more streams after this one. Um, I'll talk about those in a moment. But while we wrap up, so any other thoughts, Whoopa? We got any more other awards or any other thoughts? Because we got. Let's see when are the games? Let's see. Look.
Just one on Saturday night and one on Sunday afternoon. Those are the games.
Yeah, it's what at 3 and noon. I think it's
One's at 7. The Saturday one is at 7. I believe, and then the Sunday one is at 3
okay. All right.
Eastern time.
I'm trying to get the schedule back up because in my rampage of something else, I ended up going off into the other tabs. Let's see. Yeah, Arlington at Houston tomorrow night at 7 o'clock on ESPN. Tickets as low as $16. So, and then Sunday, Seattle at DC, 3 o'clock p.m. on ESPN. Also, tickets as low as $11. How's that possible in Washington D.C.?
See, that's weird because I thought last I heard DC was sold out. So I don't know.
It's probably ticket brokers or some crazy thing.
Because
So yeah,
I guess because I did hear that Houston was. I heard Houston started giving away free tickets because they're just like, please just show up and be loud. Which
hey, there you go.
I approve of that, Elijah.
Absolutely. Well, we've got 9 people here watching with us, so thank you, everybody. Make sure you follow us on the Twitch side, hit that like, subscribe to us on that YouTube side because we'd like to get to 225 soon. We were close, we thought, and then the YouTube gods rained down again, and how that goes. So, but hey, what's most important is you guys pick a Friday night to come out and hang out. Almost 10 of y'all now, and to talk about a spring league that we love talking football. I hope next week join us, and the week after. I just you just bring your football questions. We love talking general football. It doesn't have to be this. We can, as you see tonight, we branched off. Before we close, I do need to do 2 things. One, and especially back to Bowsette with that point, the Jaguars' last 5 seasons, 20. Let's see. Well, exclude. Okay. Well, here we go. Okay, since they last made the playoffs, 2018 5-11, 2019 6-10, 2020 1-15, 2021 the Urban Meyer drama year 3-14, and then they went 9-8 last year and lost in the divisional playoffs. So, oops, shoot, I hit a dang wrong button. So anyway, let me see now. Let me get this off too here. Let me flip it to the New York Football Giants. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happened with them in the last 5 years. Okay. Eh, okay. The Giants have been down. I'll give them credit. Okay, but you're talking for since 2017, a year before Jaguars, 3-13, 5-11, 4-12, 6-10, and 4-13 in 2021. Before go 9-7-1. But I'm sorry, folks. That I'm sorry that 1-10, 1-15, followed by the Urban Meyer year, dude. If you knew anything about football, if you were anywhere around Jacksonville, that team was such a train wreck. I do not see how anybody. Uh, I just don't see how anybody else could have won the Coach of the Year. And looking at the 49ers, yeah, 13-3. They were 13-3 in 2019, 6-10 in 2020, 10-7 in 2021, and yet their coach Shanahan gets with a 13-4 record, second in terms of the Coach of the Year voting. Go figure. Yeah, and you had it right, Bowsette there. So Stunning has more Lego parts for our secret project working on behind the scenes. All right. And Bowsette, thank you for posting Woopah's link out there on his site.
Thank
Woopah,
you.
have more material, or are we done for the night?
What was that?
Or do we have anything else, or are we done for the night?
Oh, we're done. We're done
Okay.
with the XFL until next week with the conference championship recaps.
All righty. Whoopa, do you want to say a little bit about your channel? Things that now that Bowsette put the link out there for us?
Oh yeah, I do Woopa stuff. I don't know. I haven't done this stuff in a while. I've been focusing on this so much. Uh, but I like to play video games and talk about video game news. And I might be doing a special project here soon, but we'll
Mm-hmm.
see.
Yes. All right. Well, keep that there. We'll see you next Friday, as usual. By the way, little score updates. The uh, the Bruins have tied up the game at 3 in the third period. If not, let me see what just happened there. I don't know. Looks like they, tied at 3. About 16 minutes left in the game, and Islanders and Hurricanes are tied 1-1 going to overtime, and the Canes win. They clinched that series. So we'll see what happens. Oh no, actually, take that back. ESPN was behind. Boston has now taken a 4-3 lead in the third period. So, wow. All right, folks. Thank you very much. Yeah. So Stunning. You're not the only one with secret projects. Super secret. Love Legos. All right. Well, hey, let me do this on this note. Because we've got to jump around and do some other things. Because guess what? It is a triple header around here tonight. First of all, what comes up next is a wonderful date night with the Dad Man's Fortnite edition. As soon as I'm done here, I'll get the link set up over on YouTube only, and we will play some Fortnite, the missus and me, for an hour and a half, whatever long we feel like. And she worked on this wonderful new graphic for us. Of course, there's the bunny up there, but I don't see a gas station for me to below. But join us, come chill with us in the chat while we do some silly stuff and have some fun. And after that, we will then, after that for a bit, we will have Friday After Dark, Fortnite fun. So Stunning and Lisa, y'all be on call. People that I play with know who they are. We'll do this and where things do get wild, 18 plus, and can be anything off the wall. Join us for that. Our buddy Mark D with a C is not able to stream late night Fortnite tonight, so he told me to go ahead and have it on my channel. So we will have that. Now, some other things here. Join me tomorrow night for something very special. The return of Return of the Jedi, the 40th anniversary chill chat tomorrow night. May 25th, 1983 was when Return of the Jedi was released in the theaters, and it will be running in theaters from tomorrow, or actually today, through May 4th. I'm going to go watch this thing in the morning. I've got tickets for it. I want to see this in the theater. I probably will see it a couple times in the theater. As Stunning says it's the best Star Wars movie. So yes, I'm partial to Empire, but hey, I love this. Like Lisa, I do. But you know what? Stunning. I hope you're able to make it tomorrow night. I know you're busy and things going on, but I hope things can work out. But everybody, join me for that tomorrow night. It should be fun. Come with your memories. I might show some toys. You never know what's going to happen. I got a few people scheduled to come on for tomorrow night, and we'll see if any other people come up with surprise. So join us for that. Then the month of May is going to be busy before I take a 2-week break for a big vacation. Starting off Monday night with Sports Weekly with Dadman, Mondays at 8, where we just go through sports news of various sports. We'll take some time to look through the world of sports and have some jokes or memes, and who knows what we will do. And then May, this is the big thing, folks. One of the things that I do random chill chats where I sit and just talk to people. But we started something called chilling with various people. We've had our book chats, things like that. We had chilling with Alaska Jeff and stuff. But May, I've got a great lineup already. May 3rd, we call it Tilling with Lisa from YouTube. Lisa, who's out in the chat, is going to be with me talking and showing some things about gardening. We'll see very good stuff, and her tomatoes, I hear, are impressive. May 9th, 10 o'clock p.m., a little Eastern, I had the great Raquel Briggs on again. We're calling that Grilling with R.M. Briggs. We're going to be talking about barbecue, food, glorious food with her. Yeah, like Lisa said, come play in the dirt with us. Exactly. Yes, I did too. In 2020, our theaters were open. I got to see that. I got to see it twice. And I got to see Raiders of the Lost Ark that I never got to see in the theaters. So join us there. May 14th, something completely new. Rod Thunderheart, who's a trucker out there on Twitter. We're going to call it Big Rigging with Rod Thunderheart. We're going to hang out with him and learn and talk trucking and stuff. And will be a great time with all, and look at something different, our truckers out there, and see what they deal with. And then, of course, on May 17th at 8 p.m., we'll have Chilling with the Great Daisy Blossom. We're not doing a movie this month. We're just going to have a time of chill and talk that night. So join us for all this stuff in May. Plus, there'll be the game streams, and sometimes when I go solo, I'm planning on another potential Star Wars thing. Yes, Lisa. Yeah, Empire was in the theater. Like Megatron said, there was nothing playing, and I got to see Raiders of the Lost Ark. I got to see Back to the Future. In 2020, there were a number of cool things that we got to see. So, let's see what's next. And then, like I said, there it is. Tilling with Lisa from YouTube. Chill Chat Gardening Edition, we're calling it. So, I like Rod and Daisy. Those will be great streams. Yes, I know. I'm looking forward to them. I'm looking forward to Wednesday with you, Lisa, though. Hey, you're the leadoff batter. So, hey. And then, hey, like I said, follow me on Twitter at DadmanWalking55 to catch all the updates on when we do things. Live streams, videos are on YouTube.com and Twitch.tv at DadmanWalking55. So, but to get all the latest, go over to DadmanWalking55 on Twitter. And Woopah, anything else for you, sir?
Nope, I got nothing. Sorry.
All right. That's okay. Well, folks, it's a busy night. Join me now in just a moment or two. I will tweet out the link when I get it set up, or just go over to Dadman Walking 55 on YouTube and just wait for the notification and that we go live. And the missus and I will be on date night for a bit, and then we'll have some Fortnite After Dark after that. Well, on that note, thank you again, Woopah. Thank you all of y'all that are here. None of you still with us here at the end. Make sure you smash that like button and sub if you haven't. And yeah, hope to see you over there in just a few minutes. Bye, all.